Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the zoning board of adjustment meeting for May 28th, 2025. Will everyone please stand for salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of the meeting has been satisfied in accordance with Chapter 231, PL 1975, by advertising in the Home News Tribune, notifying the Sentinel Publishing Company and the Star Ledger, and also posting on the bulletin board and filing with the Borough Clerk. Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski,
Here.
Mr. Esposito,
Here.
Mr. Emma,
Here.
Mr. Bella,
Here.
Mrs. Gottstein, Mr. Castlegrant.
Here. First, under old business, we have no continued or carried over applications. Our first application for tonight will be 2508 Salvatore Reno, 26 Adam Boulevard. Sir, would you please come forward?
Good evening, everybody. You could just raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in regard to this matter?
I do.
Sorry. Oh, I apologize.
Mr. Reno, would you please tell the board exactly what you want to do at your residence at 26 Adam Boulevard?
I'm looking to put a 24 by 24 garage, detached garage in the backyard.
Can you tell the board what the purpose of this garage is going to be, what you're going to use it for?
Vehicle storage and children's storage.
Is that all you're going to use it for, just for that purpose?
Yes, sir.
I notice on your application, on the last page, you have a diagram of the driveway that you wanted to do. It's my understanding that you're considering changing that application?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
correct?
Yes.
And how are you going to change it? What will be the new part of it?
Just continuing the driveway instead of going across the front lawn from the existing driveway, just have it go from, if you're standing in Adam Boulevard looking at my property, the egress would be from Adam Boulevard straight on the right-hand side of my building, straight to the back where the new footprint would be.
It's also my understanding that you can't use the left side to do that because there's an easement on that property. Is my correct?
Unfortunately, yes.
Anyone from the board have any questions in reference to this application?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't see any offsets to the garage, proposed garage. How far away from the property line to your side yard and?
A recommendation from the zoning office, 5 foot.
Okay. So should we mark up the drawing to make it official or?
Testimonies about, it'll be in the resolution.
Okay, it's fine.
5 yard, side yard, and the rear yard.
Correct.
5 feet. And then we always ask this question, any electricity in this garage?
No, sir.
How about plumbing, water?
No, just
Okay.
storage.
And it's not going to be used for any business?
No,
Okay, we always ask those questions. Thank you.
fair enough.
Anyone else have any questions concerning this application?
What are the variances?
Yeah, I'm gonna apply for 3 variances. One the size of the accessory structure, 150 square foot max is permitted, and proposing 576 square feet. Then regarding building coverage, maximum 20% is permitted, proposing 23%. And then third variance related to the impervious coverage, which the ordinance allows 40% max and the applicant requesting 46%, but with removal of that driveway crossing the front, that variance may no longer be necessary. Can't tell for sure without calculating it, but
Mr. Chairman, I did a quick calculation just based upon the plan. It appears that it's going to drop by about 3%. So I
Okay.
think you still would need the variance. So you'd, instead of being 46, it's in approximately 43 range, but still above 40. So you would still need the variance.
I'd say just keep 46 to be safe. Go down, go to some reason that not removed. Yeah.
I think you want to make it a condition that it is removed, because I think from an aesthetic standpoint, having the driveway where it's proposed is not as aesthetically pleasing as having a separate driveway. That way you don't have a 10-foot wide swath of asphalt in front of the property. You can keep the landscaping as it is and just have that separate driveway.
Agreed. Any other questions from the board? Want to open this to the public. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak in reference to this application on Adam Boulevard? Hearing none, I close the public portion. I'm sorry, sir.
Please come up.
Or come up. Is there any way we can see what's
Microphone.
gonna look like?
I gotta get your name. Naturally.
Hi, I'm Ricardo Fontanella from 42 Eugene. I'm your the neighbor behind them. I just want to know,
Please, can you spell it, please?
Ricardo Fontanilla. Sorry, all right, so last name is Fontanilla. First name Ricardo, 42 Eugene Boulevard. I'm the neighbor behind the applicant. I just want to know where the garage is going. Like, if you're facing the house, is it to the right or the left?
If you're in.
Like if I'm facing your house,
Correct.
Yeah.
It'll be in my backyard on the back right-hand corner.
the right-hand corner, all right. But there's no driveway on this, right? Because the driveway is on the left? If you're
Correct.
facing that, so, all right, so it'll be a new driveway
Correct.
going in, and the structure is gonna go all the way to the backyard, to
In
the
the
back corner?
backyard, 5 feet off of
Yeah.
the property
And
line.
do we know the height? I don't know any information. I'm only just asking, just because I'm just
Well,
curious to how it's gonna
It
be.
was all proposed, 12-foot walls, 24 by 24 square.
All right, but it's not like 2 stories. It's just regular 1 level? Okay, so
Yep.
I was just trying to find out information because I didn't know anything and I just didn't want to go to your house and knock and ask. So I just, I didn't want to be rude or weird, but it seems fine. I mean, as long as it's in guidelines and it's fine.
It's 24 foot by 24 foot,
Yeah,
and it would be on his right corner
yeah,
at the rear, and a driveway coming from Adam Boulevard
yeah.
going right to the pole barn.
Okay. No, I mean, it seems
And
fine.
on the left side, as you probably know, there's a shed there.
Yeah, there's a shed, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's staying.
For now.
Yeah, yeah.
That
And
stays
fine.
according to the
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I just wanted to know, I didn't know if it was gonna be tall and see if.
24 foot by 24 foot.
No, I think it's fine.
the
Good luck.
height is 12 feet.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. All right, thanks.
Or anyone else from the public who wishes to speak in reference to this application? Hearing none, I close the public portion. What's the pleasure of the board concerning this application?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the application be approved with the conditions testified to.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this application with the conditions stated. Roll call?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Emma?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein? Yes. Mr. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
Okay, the application has been approved with the conditions that we spoke about. And next month, we'll memorialize your application, and afterwards you can get your permits and start the pole barn.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.
Good night.
Our next application is 2501 Sterling Tower Holding LLC, 879 Route 9.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, members of the public, your professional staff. My name is Peter Klauser. I'm an attorney with the firm Heilbron Pate. This evening, I have the pleasure of representing your applicant, Sterling Towers. This is a piece of property located in your R10 zone with frontage on Route 9. It's in the area where Route 9, Route 35, and the Parkway entrance all kind of come together. I'm sure the board is very familiar with that area. In and around 2019, through our law firm and similar professionals, your applicant secured use variance relief from this board to convert an existing home to his office for his contractor's business. There was really no site improvements as part of that application. And the lot consisted of somewhere around 6,000 square feet at the time with the house on it and a detached garage. I think in part because of the board's approval to allow him to have his office there, your applicant has proudly grown his business and outgrown that property. And he has relocated his business to another location. However, he'd like to keep and maintain this property. And as part of that, purchased 2 additional lots adjacent to the property to make the overall lot larger. And we're proposing this evening a consolidation of all these lots together into one lot, which is now over 10,000 square feet, which is actually the requirement in the R10 zone. So it's very nice. Now, because it's a corner lot, you'll hear from our engineer and from your planner that there's an enhanced lot size requirement when you're on a corner lot in the R10 zone, but we're proud of the fact that we've now accumulated more lands to get up over 10,000 square feet. And then what I think you have here from this applicant is smart development. We're looking to remove the detached garage, construct an addition to the existing building, which will be described to you. I'm sure you saw it on the plans, and then create site improvements to support the building, including a parking area. So rather than obtaining additional lands and then saying, let's see if we can squeeze another building on it, we're actually going to give some breathing room to the existing use that's there and modernize the building and move forward with site improvements, which didn't occur the last time. So this application encompasses a use variance relief. We'll let the planner talk about that, some bulk variance relief, and a minor site plan approval. As part of the relief, we're asking that the applicant continue to be that the property continue to be permitted to be utilized as general office under your ordinance. So it would be rented, and it would be some sort of general office that's under your ordinance that would go through Mr. Mashansky's office. Think of me, a lawyer, maybe an accountant, something to that effect we would expect would utilize this type of property. Maybe a contractor again, who knows? So this evening I have 3 witnesses. Drew French is our engineer. We have Dan Fortunato, who's the architect that designed the addition and the rebuild of the building. And then Jim Higgins is here to provide his professional planning testimony. We had Allison, but we have Jim now here tonight. Allison may be on some of your paperwork or notes, but Jim and Allison work together, as I'm sure the board's familiar. So if I could, also your applicant is here. We really don't have any operations questions that we're not prepared to answer. But should you need any questions or have anything, we could have Paul come up, although it wasn't my intention to call him. So if I could, I'd like to start by having Drew come up, get him sworn, get his credentials placed on the record, and let him take you through the existing conditions and the proposed development.
Good evening.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth with regard to this application.
Yes, I do.
We have to get on the record that you're a licensed engineer in New Jersey, a little bit about your educational background, and I would ask if the board would accept Mr. French as a professional engineer.
Yes, so I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I've been practicing engineering for over 20 years, preparing site plan presentations to boards. I've been in front of this board several years ago, as well as many boards throughout the state of New Jersey. I have a Bachelor of Science degree from civil engineering from NJIT.
We accept your.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Drew,
Where should I set the easel up
There
for
you
the
go.
exhibits? Is here, I don't know if I'm going to block on that side.
So Drew, start with, where are we in Sayreville? What are the existing conditions? Take us through the proposed development.
Yeah, first, this board, though, we put in as exhibit. This is an aerial exhibit for Sterling Towers Holding LLC dated November 14th, 2024. And it's basically an existing aerial image identifying the property location.
Is that A1? Is that where we're starting? Okay. Mark it A1.
Yep.
Today's date. I won't forget that again.
Today's the 28th?
Today's the
29th?
28th, yeah.
20th.
I've only written it 100 times today already.
Oh, yes, as Peter has mentioned before, the property is located on Route 9, which is a divided highway. The property is located north of the Parkway and south of Route 35. We're located on frontage on Route 9 between Charles Street and Lee Avenue. The original property, the site for the entire property is shown in green bold. That includes the acquisition of the 2 lots that are shown hatched in green on the right-hand side or north side of the property. The existing property that has the general office for the contractor is lots 37, 38, 39, and 40. The lot area was 6,939 square feet, which was undersized for that purpose. The existing lot has a 2-story structure with a porch in the front, a deck in the rear, as well as sidewalk around the entire building itself. There's an existing detached garage on the property, which is in variance condition regarding the setback. I believe it's like 3 foot from the rear and the side. And for the existing condition, the parking is stacked parking in the existing driveway in front of the garage to provide it for the general contractor's office use. There is a stockade fence on the side and rear of the existing lot, but relatively no landscaping. So the opportunity came recently where the applicant was able to acquire the additional property on the corner, which is the shaded green here, lots 41 and 42, of approximately 3,500 square feet. Then now the lot size is greater than 10,000 square feet, which complies in the zone. With the only setback is that on corner lots in the R10 zone, you need 11,875 square feet. So it's slightly under that at 10,406 square feet. But it created a unique opportunity, and I'd like to go to the next exhibit to show how he's responsibly developing the property. I don't know if there's any questions on this exhibit. So this exhibit is the layout and dimension plan, sheet 3 of 12, last revised March 26th, 2025. This is the same plan that was submitted as part of the application, except for it's just color rendered. Okay. So here, it shows the existing structure in the southern portion of the property. What the applicant is looking to do is add an addition. There's an existing front porch, so that is going to be removed, and it'll be a 2-story addition off the front. So we're not extending the building any further to the street. It's where the existing porch line is going to be reconstructed with a 2-story addition, and part of that would also be a covered porch as the access to the front of the building. On the rear of the building, there will be a 2-story addition, but there's already a 1-story addition there. So from the building itself, it's just extending up for that 2nd story. There's a roof overhang that extends that's going to be eliminated. And then the existing detached garage is going to be removed, and we're going to have an attached garage to the building. This will make a cohesive use of the building itself. But then the architect's going to show you a rendering. The entire building is going to get renovated and modernized, so it looks like a full cohesive new building. So as part of the other improvements going to be is that the stacked parking that was previously going to be used for the prior application is being removed. The garage will house 2 cars for parking, and then there'll be additional parking spot on that driveway that's on the south side of the building. Then on the north side of the building, we're able to create from Lee Avenue a 2-way access and a new parking area to accommodate 7 parking spaces. So of the 7 parking spaces, 1 will be van accessible and handicap accessible. But then we're also going to have an EV charger, a dual charger you can use by the handicap spot or the additional spot here. And then we have a sidewalk that leads from the parking area to the front door, as well as it leads to the back through a new handicap ramp that provides access to the building itself. So from a planning site suitability perspective, it allows the property to be utilized in a way where it has sufficient parking for the use, for general office use, where 10 parking spaces required. The office space is 2,200 square feet, but there is additional space in the attic and basement for storage of about 1,800 square feet. So the parking is for general office use, 4 per 1,000, so 10 is required, and we have 10 parking spaces. I did want to point out too, that going through the ordinance, so a general office use could be for a professional engineer's office, an accountant, a lawyer's office, just general office use, a financial advisor's office. But in the ordinance, it also indicates office as medical dental, which requires 5 parking spaces per 1 doctor. So this site is also ideal for a dentist, a physician, a chiropractor, those type of a therapist, because on the right-hand side, the employees can park in the garage in this space, and then you have 7 parking spaces for visitors or patients. And a lot of times the medical professions, they have by appointment. So it's something that can certainly be manageable. So the other aspect of this plan, a couple of things I wanted to point out. One, we have a new monument sign along the center of the property that currently faces Route 9. The sign requires a setback of 15 feet from the front property line. We currently have 5-foot setback. I know in the planner's report, he suggests that for better visibility, that maybe we look at rotating the sign perpendicular to Route 9 so the traffic that's approaching has a better view of the sign itself. We think that is a great suggestion, and we would offer that up. The only thing is that the setback, instead of being 5 feet, where 15 feet is required, the setback, if we rotated the sign, would be 6 inches from the property line. But I think it is a better visibility of the sign itself. We look for that relief. But I'd like to point out that the sign itself, where from the curb line to the property line, from Route 9 curb line to our property line is 20 feet. So you already have 20 feet before you even get to the property line. And then if you set the sign 6 inches back perpendicular, you'll have a 20-foot, 6-inch really setback from the curb line, which is suitable and compatible in the area that'll provide good visibility. So the other aspect that I wanted to point out was that there was mention about the recycling containers for the site. This is a very low intensity use for a general office or, a medical office, single practitioner. So from a solid waste recycling perspective, we do have on the north side, the rear of the building, we have a concrete pad 4x7 that would hold 2 containers, one for solid waste, one for recycling. And the intent is that just as he operates now, he takes the cans out to the curb for pickup. I know in the ordinance, it does mention about enclosure of these areas. I mean, it's only 2 small cans because of the low intensity use, but we do recognize that it might be a good benefit to provide one section of solid vinyl fence, 6 foot high, to screen that from any view from Lee Avenue. It's set back off the property, so you're not going to see it. But we think that will be something that's suitable for the use.
You want to talk about lighting a little bit? Any stormwater management, you want to go into that, just some of the site details, grading, things of that nature?
Yeah, so while we have this exhibit up, the grading of the site is generally very flat. You know, from the south side of the building, we're maintaining the existing grades where the new garage is going and the driveway is the existing driveway. And the flow actually drains down towards Route 9. On the north side, where the new parking area is being constructed, the grades again are generally very flat and it drains towards Lee Avenue. The site itself is less disturbance than 1 acre, less new impervious coverage of 0.25 acres. So it's not a major development and does not even require stormwater management. However, the applicant wanted to do something to enhance the property. Again, a smart, reasonable development. So what he's proposing for stormwater management, even though it's not required, is to make the new parking area out of porous pavement, which is green infrastructure and allows the water to recharge into the ground. It conforms with the new DEP stormwater rules. But in addition to that, he's also providing an underground detention system below the parking area to control and manage the runoff from the site. So it's going to be an enhancement that's not even required that he's doing as part of this development. I'll probably pull up the next sheet to talk about the landscaping and the lighting.
Thank you. Yeah.
So again, this is the landscaping and tree preservation plan, 5 of 12. This was the plan that was submitted to the board as part of the application, except for its color rendered. So from a landscaping perspective, you know, around the existing building itself, there's relatively no landscaping now. On the lot that's being acquired, it is a vacant lot, and there's some trees on there, but the trees are in poor condition. They've grown together over time. The trunks are not in good condition. Most of them are just in poor condition themselves. We are looking to save one of the trees that looks in good shape. There's a sycamore tree. It aligns so it's towards the Route 9 side, and it'll be outside the area of where the proposed improvements are going. So we're looking to save that tree. But as you can see on this plan, we're actually providing a significant amount of landscaping for this property. You know, as I mentioned before, there's relatively no landscaping buffer to the rear and the sides. So the applicant is proposing on the rear property line and the side property line to change the stockade fence that's out there to a 6 foot high solid vinyl fence. In addition to that, he's also looking to add evergreen tree buffer along the rear property line. And that'll be a combination of American holly and different evergreen trees along that property line. You know, and it'll enhance the buffer area. Also, around the parking lot on the Route 9 side, he's adding shade trees, a red maple, river birch, a zelkova, as well as, you know, shrubs along the front of the sidewalk there to, you know, to landscape and screen the parking area from Route 9. There's certainly a significant planning of landscaping elements here on this site to enhance what the proposed use would be. I mean, the intent when you see the new building that's going to be renovated, he's really trying to attract and make this an aesthetic and a nice development of property. From a lighting perspective, again, we were careful in designing the lighting where there's some building mounted fixtures that illuminate the existing driveway as well as the ramp and sidewalk on the south side of the parking area. Those are LE cutoff type fixtures that direct the lighting downward. On the building itself, there'll be the 8 to 10 foot mounted height. And then there's 2 pole-mounted lights that illuminate the parking area. And we situated them on the Route 9 side, projecting down to the parking area. These will only be 16-foot high. Again, they're low profile cutoff fixtures to only illuminate downward. The lighting was carefully designed so to minimize spillage off the property, but to provide enough illumination and lighting for, in accordance with the ordinance. The one thing mentioned in the planner's report that asked if we considered moving the lights closer to the other opposite side of the parking area and providing house side shields and direct the light towards Route 9, how that would affect the residents. Putting the light source closer to them and trying to project it out is going to, have the light closer to the residents, but also it makes it more difficult to extend the lighting all the way out across the parking lot and the sidewalk area. So we did try that lighting the first time, and it's not going to provide the right illumination. We'd have to raise the light poles and project them out further, which we think that's going to be a detriment to the neighbors there. We think the lighting designed is more appropriate the way it's shown. The one thing in the planner's report also mentioned about dimming the lights during off operation hours. And we're willing to put some controls on the lighting to dim them to 50% during non-operating hours. They would just be for security lights.
Thank you. You've really covered all of the direct items that I wanted you to cover. We need to talk about the technical portions of the professional reports. And also, we got to get the relief that we're requesting
Yes.
on the record. So if you're, and they kind of tie together a little bit. So I think if you want to just take us through that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can pull the letters out or.
Yeah, you want copies?
Well, I'll just grab mine.
Sure. And Mr. Chair, while he's doing that, we are in receipt of Mr. Fowler's letter, May 23rd, 2025, and Mr. Cornell's letter of May 28th, 2025. That's what I'm referencing, which they're part of your record. So yeah, if you could just take us through, Jim's here to testify to the variance, the relief that's requested. So if you could just take us through the dimensional variances that we require. We obviously know we're asking for the use variance.
Yeah, certainly. It just might be easier. This is CME's letter, the third page. I'm just going to go through some of the items so that we can make sure that I pick them all up while I'm talking through them. So this is under section A, site grading and general comments. We do agree to comply and provide the necessary outside agency approvals. The 2 is review about the signage on the project. The architect will describe the monument sign. I know I indicated previously about the setback of the sign, but the architect has the detail of the monument sign, and he'll go over that with the board. Item 3, deed of consolidation, we certainly agree to comply with that item. So the next item, as we start to get into some of the relief waivers, the ordinance requires a minimum 50-foot landscape buffer area where non-residential use abuts a residential use. So this is applicable to, we're in the R10 zone, where non-residential use abutting residential uses. So the ordinance indicates that we should have a 50-foot landscape buffer. So what happens is 50 feet from the back of the property into the site, the depth is only 69.39 feet. If we did a 50-foot buffer, that would leave us less than 20 feet. The property would be undevelopable. So, but we are enhancing the landscaping, as I indicated before, to solid vinyl fence. We're providing the evergreen trees in the back. This is a very low intense use where the operation hours for a general office or a physician is Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 p.m. They might have some evening hours, but infrequently, and maybe some Saturday hours, but the use is all inside the building. It's low intensity use. And also wanted to point out that this buffering is certainly greater than is out there today under the existing conditions. So we're asking for that waiver. The next one is about the ordinance requires a 50 by 12 loading area for all non-residential buildings. Again, this is a low-intensity use. The office space is 2,200 square feet. They don't have a need for a loading area for this type of operation. You know, the only time that you would need is when you're fitting out or furnishing the building itself. That's when you would bring in but once you're operating, it's smaller goods that come up, the FedEx, UPS trucks. And in essence, though, as they do today, Route 9 is a two-way divided highway, but along the frontage of our property, there's a significant shoulder there. You know, every day, the mailman pulls up, stops in front of there, right on the shoulder, puts the mail in the mailbox. When he was the office general contractor using it, the UPS, FedEx trucks, they're pulling up right here, running in the building, and bringing that. That's how the operation is going to continue, even with the office building. There's not high-end deliveries here. There's smaller goods that are coming. In the event that they had anything that needed to come in, the ability is that the driveway itself for the parking area is 25 foot wide. There's the ability for a truck to back in here and load anything he needs to do off peak hours, but we don't anticipate that. That's a very infrequent thing that can be easily managed. So we're asking for that waiver. The next item is the Borough Design Standards require sidewalk along the frontage of the site between parking areas and principal structures, along aisles and driveways. Again, within our new parking area, we are providing a sidewalk that runs from the parking area to the front of the building as well as the rear of the building for the ADA ramp. The waiver we're asking for is we're not doing it along all our frontage on Route 9. And we're also not doing the access on the southern existing driveway and garage component. The frontage on Route 9, there is no sidewalks up and down Route 9 now. It's a divided highway. But there's also existing utility poles out there. There's traffic control signs. There's things that just don't make it feasible to put a sidewalk. But we are putting a sidewalk on the appropriate spot on our site. So we're asking for a waiver for the other elements.
It's not exactly true. A couple of blocks down in our sidewalks.
Okay, I know just on either side of our frontage, there is not.
Not right where you are, but just
Yeah.
a block away there is.
So in ours too, if you look at the picture in the front here, there's considerable amount of traffic control signs that are right there in our site that it doesn't make it feasible to put the sidewalk.
I just wanted to correct you.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate it. The next item is no parking shall be constructed in front yard setback. On this particular lot, we're a corner lot. We have frontage on both Lee Avenue and Route 9. It's very difficult not to put the parking in the frontage, but we're asking for that waiver. But we are taking into consideration where we're putting the landscape treatments to screen the parking. And, we're certainly doing it in a way that it's still going to be an attractive look. But, from a corner lot with two frontages, we're going to have parking in that location. So the next few items are storm sewer. I've talked to the board's engineer and, certainly we'll work out any of the technical details with his office regarding storm sewer system or soil erosion control. When we're getting back to the landscaping and lighting, there's additional waivers. It reiterates about the 50-foot wide vegetation buffer while we're seeking it. The next one is a minimum 10% of all proposed parking areas shall be landscaped about the interior. So here we are landscaping around the parking area in the front and both sides, but we're not doing it on the interior, which would mean putting islands of curb within there. This is such a small parking lot. It doesn't make sense to take up a parking spot to put an island to put a tree. So we're asking for that relief. The next one is the borough ordinance. Street trees at space of 50 feet on center are required along all site frontages. So as I indicated, we are providing shade and deciduous trees along our parking lot. Between our property and Route 9, there's overhead utilities that run along there. So it's not necessarily feasible to put trees along that area. But if you went and looked 50 feet on center, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trees along our frontage. We would certainly comply with it. And then on the Lee Avenue side, again, we have trees that are up towards Lee Avenue. But on this plan, you can see the dash line going out the driveway. That's the site triangle. So you have to keep that clear. So trees are not warranted in those locations either. So we have good amount of trees, just not specifically meeting the requirement that's in the ordinance.
Is there a few items you want to speak to under the parking and roadway improvements, section E of the report?
Well, it does ask about proposed hours of operation, number of employees, and deliveries. So as I indicated before, depending on the use, this is low intensity use. The hours of operation are generally going to be between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. with some occasional evening hours. That's Monday through Friday. Some possibly day hours on Saturday. Number of employees, it depends on the actual use. Say it's a dentist, they're going to have the dentist, the hygienist, the receptionist, so maybe 3, maybe 4 employees. That's typical for a chiropractor, therapist, doctor's office. A regular accounting or office use where it would have a little more employees, maybe 6 or 7, but then they wouldn't have many visitors or patients or guests coming. So it all depends on the actual use, but you're talking, 5-ish or less employees, depending on the use.
And the ordinance drives the parking requirements for those different, it accounts for that, and you have indicated that we can comply with those requirements.
Yes, and we do comply for the general office parking requirement, or if it's dental or medical office with the 5 spaces per doctor, we would also comply. And that would be for a single practitioner or even 2 physicians that would still be in compliance.
And everybody that would want to utilize this property has got to go through the zoning office and receive a CO in order to be able to make sure they're in compliance with whatever approval this board may grant.
Absolutely, yes.
Is there any waivers that still exist with items 2, 4, and 6 that we need to talk about, or are those ones that you've covered already?
Well, number 2, the borough ordinance requires all parking lots to be paved and fully enclosed with either concrete or Belgian block curb. So on the new parking lot, we have concrete curb. It's fully paved with the porous pavement. On the existing driveway, we are paving that, but we don't have curb on there. That's an existing condition that we're asking for a waiver. Then a couple others. 3, basically says any change in the operation that would result in proposed parking should be further reviewed by the board. Certainly, we agree if there's something that's changed from what we're proposing here, they would need to come back in front of the board. 4, the Route 9 driveway does not provide for the 30-foot width and 10-foot setback to the property line. This is an existing condition. That driveway on the south side is existing. It's operating fine now. Under the proposed use, it will be 3 parking spaces. It's minimal. Again, we're asking for any relief for that existing condition. 5, it indicates the manner of deliveries and the site refuse. I did touch base on that. They're just going to be containers, 1 solid waste, 1 recycling. And the intent is them to be put out on Lee Avenue for pickup. And then the last one is the driveways for non-residential uses shall be minimum 30 feet in width. The driveway we're proposing on Lee Avenue is actually 25 feet in width, which is standard for a parking lot for 2-way traffic. Again, we're trying to minimize the width of the driveway and only put what's required for low intensity parking area that it is. And that allows us to have additional green space on the rear and side of the property. So we're asking for that waiver.
You went through some specific comments in Mr. Fowler's report. Other than those items which you addressed, I take it you have no issue with complying with that report? And would you agree that the variances listed in Mr. Fowler's report are accurate and they are the relief that the applicant is requesting?
Yes, I do. I'm sure Jim is going to touch base on these in his testimony, but a lot of the variances that were existing before are being lessened by what we're proposing now as part of the smart development of the site. So from that perspective, even though there is some variance required, they're being lessened than they were prior application that was approved. And the other thing I did want to point out, because there's a building coverage requirement's 20%. We're only at 13.2%. So we're not overdeveloping this property. We're under the building coverage. We are over the lot coverage. That's 40% in the R10 zone, and we're proposing 65%. But when I said smart, reasonable development, in your ordinance for where office buildings are permitted in the B1, B2, and B3 zones, the B1 zone has a minimum lot area, 10,000 square feet. The lot coverage is 85%. So we're 20% less than what would be required in the B1 zone. We think that this is certainly a suitable site for what we're proposing, and we're not overdeveloping it. We're consistent with what typically for an office type use property is.
And when we talk about impervious coverage and lot coverage, often we're concerned with runoff and stormwater management. And you've already taken the board through the extra steps that the applicant has taken to create stormwater management structures on the property.
Yes, that is correct. I mean, even though stormwater is not required for this development, we're proposing in any way to mitigate any of the impacts from the lot coverage of 40% to the 65% we're proposing. There is one other item I just want to touch base on. I know there's some relief in here about a deck in the rear yard and side yard. Well, there's an existing deck that's out there on the structure now. We're reconstructing that deck as a porch, but the purpose of that is because we need to provide ADA access to the building. So from the front, there's a few steps that go up to the front of the building. In order to get the ramp in enough for ADA compliance, we're having the sidewalk go towards the rear of the property, and it starts ramping up. You can see it here on the north side of the building and then towards the rear. So that creates the ramp for ADA compliance into the deck porch landing in the back of the building. So we're asking for that relief for that setback of that deck porch to the side or rear property line. It's 5 feet, but it's also that condition now. There is a porch deck there now. So we're basically reconstructing it, but for the purpose of ADA compliance to the building.
Thank you. Drew, unless there's anything else you think we missed, I don't have any further questions for you. And he's available to the board and your professionals for any questions you may have.
So you're talking about taking the sign that's going to be on Route 9, turning that 90 degrees. So the way it looks like you have it laid out on your plan, there's going to be, I guess, bushes behind it. So if you
Yes.
turn it, are those bushes going to block the sign or?
Well, that's a great point. So when we do turn it, currently right now it's 5 feet tall by about 9 feet in length. We might have to shrink the sign's length a little bit to fit into that space, but then those shrubs will have to be moved. We wouldn't be taking any out if we had to move them a little bit to displace to make sure the visibility of the sign is still there. So we would adjust them as necessary. Yes. And then the other thing too, on the landscaping for the sign, we are proposing Laripi and Black-Eyed Susans along the base of the sign also as a landscaping planting bed. And once we turn it, we will both do that on both sides of the sign.
Mr. Cornell, do you have any comments to make in reference to your report?
Well, Mr. Chairman, during the technical review process, we raised a number of issues. The applicant was very cooperative. He addressed as many as he could. The waivers that are being requested, as was indicated, is a result of the configuration of the site. So there's not much he can do with the buffers, 50-foot buffer when you've got a 69-foot wide lot. And these waivers are consistent with some others that the board has granted in the past. So we really don't see any problems with what's proposed.
Mr. Fowler?
Basically the same, Mr. Chairman. I really have no issues. We did have the TRC meeting, where the applicant did agree to make a lot of changes to the plan. The plan was pretty solid to start with, but they refined it a little bit. The issue that Drew had mentioned regarding the lighting, I was looking at the lighting, if you moved it closer to the residence, projected it out towards the parking lot and had shields behind it, that it may not be as imposing to the residents. But I spoke to Mr. French on the phone, and he had mentioned to me, well, the lighting would not reach the sidewalk if we did that. And also that they're only 16 feet high, and he doesn't see any reason that would be spillover onto the adjacent property. So I'm fine with the lights where they are.
Thank you. Board have any other questions in reference to this witness?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Why are you keeping the garage for an office application?
Eliminating the detached garage and making it part of the unit. It would provide storage area like it is used now. It would also provide, I asked that question. It does provide, somebody that maybe, if it was my law office, I could park my car inside. And it provides additional parking, to service the site. So it just seemed like and you'll see with the architect's rendering, it's very cohesive and it brings us everything into one building.
So it's not going to be used for office space?
Oh, no.
The garage itself we use to park cars. The second story on the garage would be used for office space. That's contiguous with the building. So that would be that's included in the office space.
That was in your figures of.
2,200 square feet, yep. And the one thing is too, he's trying to do a responsible development design. So the garage and the aesthetic of the building, when you see it, it's going to be compatible with the other structures in the neighborhood. So from that perspective, it lends itself to, if it's Peter's office, he's going to park his nice car in the garage. The employees park there, and the parking lots for, the patients, visitors to the office.
Speaking of the garage, when they pull in, can they get out forward, or do they have to exit the driveway backing up?
Well, there's 20 feet behind the garage there. There's maneuverability in there, just like any resident, to be able to maneuver around, yes.
And the sign that we were talking about, does that have lighting?
There is uplighting from the ground up on the sign.
All right. And one final question. You said from the curb of Route 9 to the property line is 20 feet. Does that include the shoulder, or is the curb that's not part? The shoulder's on the other side of the curb?
Yes, correct. That's not including the shoulder.
Okay, and there is an actual curb?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I don't know if you can see it on the aerial, but, so where my piece of paper here, that's the curb line. And you can see just north of that is the shoulder line. I know it's pretty hard to see, but so that area there is where, the mailman pulls up, or mailwoman, and UPS delivery vehicles come.
So between the curb and the property line is grass or just natural growth?
It's grass, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're
As
welcome.
You mentioned the number of the traffic control signs are located in
Yes.
that area. And which I think you're getting, and we wanted Drew to make sure was on the record, is you say something like we're setting a sign back 6 inches. That doesn't sound very good, but we wanted to demonstrate that there's quite a bit of actual physical distance between Route 9 and the proposed sign. That's just a property line. That's what was the purpose of that testimony. If there,
Any other questions on the board? See,
thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to bring up Dan.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Drew. If you want to work your exhibits, let's get you sworn first. We'll have a microphone trade off. I'm presenting Dan as a licensed architect in New Jersey. He designed this building, so I would ask if he could be sworn. We'll get his credentials on the record and see if the board will accept it.
Dan Fortunato, last name is Fortunato. I am a registered architect in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. I've attended Ohio State University, Bachelor's in Industrial Design, and Drexel University, Bachelor's in Architecture.
We accept your credentials.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes. Yes, I will.
Dan, short and sweet, take us through the building that you designed and our floor plans.
Okay.
And you heard the marking procedure. We'll have the board attorney's blessing as to whether we need to mark a particular exhibit or not.
Okay. Sorry. All right, so on the existing building, we had approximately 1,500 square feet that exists today. Our goal is to add approximately 700 square feet for the 2,200 square feet of office space. The first floor,
What are you referencing, Dan? Is this part of the sheet plan that was submitted to the board?
I'm not sure if this was part of their package or not, A2. There's no,
Are these you proposed? Is this all proposed?
this is, yeah, this is all what's proposed, drawing A2.
Those are the plans that were submitted. Go ahead, sorry to interrupt.
Okay. On the project itself, Drew mentioned earlier that there is a front porch that's on here. We are going to occupy some of that front porch for an office. So we are extending out some additional square footage to gain there. The rest of the first floor is existing. And we do have, again, a portion of the front porch, which is going to remain. There is existing steps, masonry steps and sidewalk that is going to stay. We're not going to touch that. And that still will be the main front entrance to the building. I'll touch on the garage. The garage structure is detached, as mentioned earlier, but that's not shown here. We are taking it down and rebuilding with a new garage that's attached, and it will be, again, strictly for parking on the first floor. On the second floor, we are extending office area over that garage. And again, we are extending over the front porch to pick up some extra square footage and a little bit of the back. So that's really where the 700 square feet is coming from for the additional square footage on the building. The structure itself is all wood frame construction, and we're going to maintain that. The structure itself will be, with any of the new energy codes, we're going to abide by that, of course, and increase the insulation values and structural values of the building. The gray lines here pretty much indicate what is going to be new. So we are going to be, of course, doing the new addition over the garage area. On the interior, though, there is an existing set of stairs that we're going to maintain. We're keeping those stairs, but we're going to open up to create a two-story atrium in that area. So the main entrance, when you come in, we have it specified right now as a reception area and come into a common area. And then the rest are divided up into offices. This is just an example of what you could do, depending what the tenant is going to be using the space for. But we have a bathroom on the second floor, which is existing. We're going to renovate it. And we have a bathroom on the first floor, which we're going to convert over to a handicap bathroom. The ramp that Drew was talking about earlier, we have to go at least 48 feet of ramp, just due to the nature of the building. It's a 4-foot high first floor off the ground. So of course it's 1:12 ratio. We need to get a 48-foot ramp. So we are running around the side of the building, wrapping around up to the back. As was mentioned, there is a deck there now, which is being taken down. We're actually going to shorten it by a foot, but make this a flat area. So there is maneuverability for handicap wheelchair access and into the building here. So essentially the full first floor will be wheelchair accessible. The exterior of the building, we're going to keep it.
Just let me interrupt. So this is a
Sure.
new exhibit.
This is a new
I
exhibit.
think we are up to A2. We didn't mark anything else. So if you could just describe for the record, our stenographer, what we're looking at, and if you could mark it A2 with today's date of May 28th.
Okay, I'll get that in a
Up
minute.
here in your pocket.
Thank you.
There you go.
So the building itself, what we're trying to do is keep it more of a residential character. So we're utilizing hardy siding on the outside in white, and we're going to use 7-inch planks on the lower level, 4-inch planks on the second level. All new windows, energy efficient casement windows, and we're going to be doing those in black. And then we're going to use black metal roofing for the areas here over the porch, over the garage, a little bit over the garage, and of course, the whole roof of the second floor. The dormer you here see is existing, but we're going to rebuild it, make it a little bit better, but it is going to be directly over the stair atrium area. So again, we're going to try and keep everything that's there now intact. I'm going to touch on the sign here because you can see the sign right here. And what Drew was saying earlier, that we might take the sign and turn it 90 degrees so we get access or view from both sides rather than just the front. But this is still something we need to decide on what we're going to do. The sidewalk that's here is all existing. We're just going to continue it out to where it is. And this is, so it gives you a view of the parking lot that we were talking about earlier. And this is the existing driveway area.
Sign location on your plan is not what's shown on the site plan.
Well, this is to give you a general, I know it's not, this is a rendering. Yeah, this is a rendering. It just gives you just sort of feel of what's going to happen. I understand that. But when we render these things, we just sort of want to give you, we're really focused on the building and the character of the sign, what it's going to look like. Where it is, we'll have that on the site plan.
Thank you, Mr. Cornell.
The building is going to have, I heard stormwater management earlier, but we are going to have gutters and leaders, of course, coming off on that. And we'll get that to a underground drainage system. That'll bring it out to the drainage system as discussed earlier. The rest of the building pretty much is we're trying to keep more of a residential tone to it. We have a stone base around the bottom. Again, just to try and give some of those characteristics to it. We don't want to make it too commercial, but trying to just keep it more like a residential style.
Thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate that, Mr. Chair. Dan's available. I have no further questions.
Anyone from the board have any questions? Proceed.
Thank you very much. You can step down. Our last witness is Mr. Higgins. Are you comfortable up here?
Good evening. Yeah, I'll be good here.
I'm not
Yeah.
getting.
Okay. yeah,
Let's
yeah,
do the
yeah.
swearing in. the
Okay,
credentials.
yes. I do. Maybe I'll let you have this one and I'll use this one. My name's James Higgins. I am a licensed professional planner in the state. I've testified as an expert before this board on numerous occasions before approximately 200 boards throughout the state in my experience, and been accepted by superior courts in the state and by the New Jersey Supreme Court as an expert in the field of planning.
Mr. Higgins, we accept your
Okay,
credentials.
thank you. Thank you.
Proceed.
I will try and keep this as short as possible. Most of the application has been discussed with you. I don't want to go through everything again and rehash a lot of what's been discussed tonight. But I do want to say there are certain elements of this application that I think are important. The first is that the major portion of this site, 6,000 plus, between 6,000 and 7,000 acres, already has a D1 variance associated with it. The 3,500 square foot portion of this site that's being added that makes this site a corner lot as opposed to an interior lot is vacant and doesn't have a D1 variance associated with it. So I'm going to approach this as an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use in terms of the proofs that I'm going to be presenting, because I think that's what's most appropriate in this situation. And what's being done here is that you have a site that is on a 4-lane divided highway, first of all. It does have a D1 variance associated with it. The portion that's being added to the site to improve the site is 3,500 square feet. And while it's zoned residential, clearly it's inappropriate to put a single-family residence on a 3,500 square foot corner lot on Route 9. The best approach here is to expand the existing lot as is being proposed and provide a number of substantial improvements, not only to the function of the site, but to the layout of the site and the aesthetics of the site. And I think those are the important things. First of all, there are a number of significant existing bulk variances that are being eliminated. The existing garage is non-conforming with regard to its setbacks on 2 sides, and that's being eliminated. So those variances are being eliminated totally. There is an existing shed on the site that is also non-conforming in terms of its setback to the property, to the east. So on that fence on Lee Avenue. So that is a significant improvement. The aesthetics of the site are being improved substantially. The building is going to be improved. You can see it's a very, very attractive building. The existing building is an older building. I wouldn't say it's run down, but it's seen better days. And the improvements to the building, I think, are going to be a significant aesthetic improvement to the site. The buffering that's being proposed on the site, and Drew touched on that, but you do have a 10-foot buffer now that's proposed along, I think it's the eastern side of the site. And that buffering not only protects the adjacent residents from the parking area that's being proposed for this application, which really, I don't think much protection is necessary. It's going to be such a low intensity use, but it provides protection for that residence from Route 9, which doesn't exist today. I think that's a significant improvement to this site. The aesthetics in terms of the landscaping are a significant improvement. And when I look at all of these things, I think that there are substantial benefits in terms of the function of the site, in terms of bringing the layout of the site more into conformity with your zoning, and bringing the aesthetics of the site into making it a much more attractive site than what currently exists right now. And I don't see any substantial negatives to this application. Again, it's taking a piece of property that's not really developable, making it developable, adding the parking that's necessary to provide the minor expansions to the building. And again, when you look at what's being removed in terms of building and what's being added in terms of building, it almost cancels out. So it's not like the applicant is trying to max the site. In fact, the building coverage as it currently exists is 18% on the interior lot. And then as they expand it to make the corner lot, the building coverage will be about 12%. So, and your ordinance permits 20%. Then, as Drew said, the 65% impervious coverage is really much less than would be permitted in any of your business zones for business uses, for an office use. And the 40% that is intended, that is required in your ordinance for the R10 zone is really geared towards residential uses, not towards commercial uses. So what's being proposed here is not a substantial overdevelopment of the site. There are variances that are necessary, there are waivers that are necessary, and just about all of them are related to the configuration of the site and the fact that it's a site that, as it exists now with its approvals and with the small residential portion that doesn't have an approval, is much more appropriate to be developed as the applicant is proposing now than what exists presently. I think it's a win-win situation from a planning and zoning standpoint, and from an aesthetic and functional standpoint, I think it's a win also.
Any questions? Fowler, you want to make any comments?
How many trees are on that lot? Those 2 lots that are now up there.
Let me bring Drew up.
Did you hear the question, Drew?
Yes.
Yeah, so on the existing lot that is being acquired, there's 9 existing trees there. As I indicated before, they're in poor condition. They've grown together. So we are removing those trees. We're providing 9 new shade deciduous trees, 21 evergreen trees, shrubs as part of our plan. You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, that concludes our direct presentation. I know that you have to open the application up to the public, and then I would like to just do a little bit of a brief summary of what we're asking from the board before the board takes any action on the application.
Going to open this to the public. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak in reference to this application? Again, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak in reference to this application? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public portion at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. Thank you for your attention, and we appreciate the work that we've done with your professional staff. This is a pleasant application for me to present. I fight a lot to maximize development on property, so it's enjoyable to have an application where I believe this applicant's being very respectful of the borough, of the area, and utilizing the property wisely to the extent that anyone cares what I think. So we're asking for the relief that's clearly stated in the applications. It's been repeated multiple times. The goal here is to make this available for general office uses as they are interpreted in your zone, and to include the availability for a possible medical use, which Mr. Mashansky has explained to me is treated a little differently under your ordinance. But of course, provided that that is appropriate and that it's parked on the site as we have testified to this evening. So with that, asking that the board act favorably on the application. I can certainly work through the resolution, should it be a favorable action, with your attorney, as we have done many times before, to memorialize the relief that we're requesting. So I would just ask if the board would take action on the application. If there are any further questions, we're all here and we can certainly answer them.
Board have any further questions in reference to this application? Hearing none. What's the board's pleasure in reference to this application?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this application with the conditions that was spoken to previously tonight. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Emma?
Yes.
Mr. Bella? Mrs. Gottstein? Yes. Mr. Castlegraham?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We'll memorialize it at our next meeting and we can proceed from there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Everyone have a good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Thank
You sure you don't want those?
I don't think I got any of them.
Good night.
Help with anything? Okay, all right.
In reference our three resolutions, High Point and 110 North Edward Street and 28 Felix Terrace, we do not have those memorializations here tonight. They will be presented at our next meeting. Has everyone had the opportunity to read the regular minutes from April 23rd, 2025?
Yes.
Yes.
What's the pleasure of the board concerning those minutes from that April meeting?
I move the minutes be approved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from April 2025. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito? Mr. Bella?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein? Yes. Mr. Castleton?
Yes.
Board have any other comments in reference to this meeting tonight?
I'll just ask one question.
Go.
These are huge to whip out at a meeting. Is there any, if it could be printed, it could be printed to a PDF. Is there any way to get a digital copy of this stuff? I understand that we need the paper, but I could bring a tablet in and it's a lot easier kind of scrolling through some of these plans than knocking it into my fellow board members. Is that do they do that? I mean,
Screen turned around, right? Sure. There's no general issue with that. Spoke to Joan earlier and she's gonna request PDFs and the files come in as well.
That would be great. I would love that.
I agree with Mr. Rema. Look at this.
Would they be open to the public too for viewing that way?
So I have to attach them onto the website, which I did during COVID.
Right.
I used to, so that I could go back to doing it.
So we don't need any action from the board. You could just ask for it? Okay.
Jay mentioned it's already in the ordinance calls first.
Oh,
So next meeting, you'll see that we can start to get this done.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we have a use.
Do we have a June meeting? You'll have to have one. We do?
You have applicants, I believe, for your June meeting. It may not be a site plan, and maybe some bulk variances on for the June agenda.
Okay, we'll see what we can do. It's a good idea. I mean, to open this thing here, I need an easel up here.
Need longer arms.
Anything else that we want to talk about?
Just to the attorney and the members can bring a laptop to the plans during the meeting.
Oh, absolutely. Laptop, tablet, whatever they want. You can even pull them up on your phone if you like.
Maybe eventually we'll have the business administrator, Glenn, give us computers here so we can.
that would be great. That'd be nice. You'll like that idea. I'll be thrilled with that idea. Let's make that recommendation. Great idea.
Good idea. Does this come with a course to show us how we operate these things?
Yeah, it's actually what he'll do is he'll load it, so it'll just be on the screen, let it touch, right? First, and when we start to tap it, and it'll have the mobile sticks, phone to, outline what they are. That'll be the only thing.
We're in favor of this?
They'll give it a try, sure.
Sure, why not?
Okay, thank you.
So are we just talking the commercial type applications where they have oodles of drawings or just not the residential? Well, the residential won't have a PDF, right?
Yeah, they're usually just submitting their site survey.
Yeah.
Well, like here's a residential right here, and it just has the last page. It's just the site plan.
Is the site survey.
Yeah, that's, residentials are
Yeah.
small.
If in fact I get one that's got,
Right.
then I would do it.
I think we're talking about like we had tonight or the Wawa, the big ones.
Large scale.
Yeah. Good idea. Anything else? I'm looking forward to a computer next meeting. Nothing further. I make a motion to adjourn. I have a motion and a second. Meeting's adjourned.